So a great resource for us today to present on an important topic. So let me welcome Ms.
For our folks here in person, we do have resource guides, and I believe some, anyone that mailed to them, because this resource, so many things today, this resource guide is great for to and see what to do. You may not be a victim today, but you
You're good to go.
all right, let's see.
Sorry, we're having a few Wi-Fi issues.
No, it's not changing. Let's see, maybe
Is it turned on?
it's on. All right. You know, Brooke gave you an introduction. I'm Bennett. I'm here to share my information to you. I encourage you to ask questions. And if I don't have the answer, I'll get it for you. But most of the time I do. So past that. So here's our objective. Again, recognize and reduce the risk of elderly financial. You know, and believe it or not, I have a class that I teach for younger kids as well. The highest, the fastest growing fraud right now is parents taking their infant children's social security number to go get credit or phone or whatever. That's the fastest growing. That child is 2 months old. When he or she turns 18, the credit's off. It's scary, right? But again, a lot of this fraud is friends and family that we're talking about. So, you know, we want to guard against identity theft, people taking your identity. We'll talk about that. Plan for unexpected loss, so the ability to manage your finances. Most of the phone calls I get every day, and if I'm in classes, I return them at night or the next day. But most of my phone calls that I get are, how do I manage a budget in today's environment? It's costing me $80 more a month to go to work because of gas prices, food prices. So I put a class together just to teach people how you prioritize things. What do you do? How do you manage it? I had a lady just the other day was telling me that she and her husband seen her, they see each other so much, she's about to choke her, you know? And I said, get back to your garden club, to your bridge club, you know, go do something. Because 24-hour, 24/7, you know, it could cause a little bit of anxiety, right? So, but again, you got to manage, we manage through all this. And I'm managing just connecting with folks, you know, just talking to them, meeting with your group or friends or whatever, you still want to make sure you have some levity and get past all those tough things. Prepare financially for disasters. The only way you can do there is save, don't spend everything you make. You have some money that you have saved, and you gotta have that emergency fund. All right, and then find other helpful resources on managing money and reporting financial exploitation. And again, most of the time, the way you manage that type of thing is, we're gonna talk a little bit about computers, which people are on so much. You open up things you shouldn't open, and then, they go in your computer, they look to find different things. So just very, very careful. Internet's a great thing, but it's a lot of issues that come along with it. And we have to be real prepared for it. So what is it? Elderly financial exploitation. And who's at risk? Fraudulent and otherwise illegal, unauthorized, and improper acts on individuals and resources, older persons, personal benefit, profit, or gain. They're going after the elderly because they have the money. Let's be honest. They work, they retire, they put it safe, and they manage, they budget. Our younger group today, I work real hard to teach them. If you have a good credit score, it's because you're budgeting, you're paying everything you're supposed to. If you don't, more than likely, you've got so many credit cards you can't keep up with their payment debts. And when you start dropping payments is when the scores start dropping. So actions that result in depriving an older person rightful access or use of their own benefit, their resources. So those are those. Anyone can be a victim. People used to come to me, but look, they'll go after, because most of the time they don't know the person. They don't know who, except family and friends. And, the biggest advantages that are taken are husbands die and mom or grandma is widowed. The kids and grandkids go pray on that grandma. They make her feel, I'm just telling them the truth, what I see every day. And I talk to people on the phone every day. And I've known them for 30 years. I know their children. And I had to pick up the phone. What are you doing? Your dad is flipping over right now. Can't believe you're trying to tell mom to sell this, cashing that CD. When people have a death in a family, they have to spend some time grieving. Now, it's different if you know about it, you've been with them the whole time, cancer, something. But there's a lot of people that all of a sudden they have a stroke. I had a good friend of mine, 59 years old, mowing his grass in Pensacola the other day. Stroke and died. Young age, but the point is, that wife, that husband, whatever, they have to have some time to grieve. So I always when I talk to those people, if you don't have to, just wait 6 months. Don't do anything financially. But a lot of times the kids are moving faster than that. That's where some of the things take place. So it's very, very. Some older adults may have regular. It's the income, I can promise you. They've saved. They have the income, and the children are the person who's exploiting them knows that. People laugh at me when I tell them, don't have a garage sale at your house. Church, take 5 families, go to the activity center. When people come to your house, they're not coming to your house to buy the old albums in that big box. They're coming to see what you have. Right? I tell people, when you leave your house, close your blinds. These are just things that you do, and you have to. I hate to say it. It's just those type of things. But you've got to, if they know it's a big house, if it's got, look, if it's a Mercedes in the driveway, they may think there's silver, there's diamonds, there's things in the house. And I hate to tell you, a lot of people I know are leasing that Mercedes. They can't afford to buy, they're leasing, right? So you don't have a clue. You're making these assumptions, and you really don't have a clue of what's going on there. Trusting and polite. Elderly people are trusted. They're very polite. Sometimes they appear lonely because they're by themselves, especially if their children are outside of the state, or during COVID they were afraid to go see grandparents, or because if the kids had it, they didn't know it, they might pass it on. And I knew a lot of older people calling me, what do I do? again, I teach them how to use Zoom, teach them how to use a computer. Talk to them about that, they'll use other means. A lot of times they get scared of doing it, but there's a lot of them learned it during that period. A lot of them to be able to do that. And you're grieving that someone has passed, and so they're taking advantage of that, and they're taking advantage that you might not be thinking right. Be dependent support from a family member, and again, I tell people, count your blessings if your family is supporting you and not trying to take from you. Count your blessings. But sometimes that's not always the case, But again, don't fall into that trap. I tell a lot, who do I talk to? Pastor, maybe talk to, I know a lot of times I do a lot of teaching at the church. We set up groups, and so we have breakout sessions and stuff where we can help folks. But in particular, ladies, because men die before, for some reason, a high percent men die before the ladies die. So they're stuck with all the dealing with the finances and stuff. If you're receiving care from somebody with fear of, a lot of times moms will be fearful that when my son's mad, he's not going to talk to me. So you're fearful of that, so you do those things. Being unfamiliar with managing finance matters. I try to teach, when I teach my younger classes, I have a class called Marriage and Money that I teach to kids getting married, or I'll make classes for those that are already married. One person, it is a group effort. Husband and you take it each. That's why it blows me away. I was teaching a class last week at Hammond, 10 couples, and I was shocked to see 50% of the couples had not yet asked them, do you have any student loan debt? You need credit card? And y'all, that's a problem. You really need to know that. Because I'm telling you, percentage-wise, women are more organized and do a better job. And have done. I'm just telling you the percentages. That you see every day. But I'm just shocked. You get ready to get married, you don't have a clue. Guess what's going to happen? As soon as you get married, you're managing all that together. That becomes a problem. The same thing as we get older, it shouldn't be the guy or any one person. Both of you should be in the middle of the decisions, knowing what the finances are. One of the classes I teach here is a class on how to organize. So if something dies, the family knows where everything is. The family love letter is what it's called. And and the reason why it's called family love letter, you love your family enough to put everything together to organize. One of the best things my parents did when they were in their 40s, I had 6 brothers, and we had lunch at my mom and dad's house on Sunday with me. And one Sunday, mom called around to make sure everybody was coming. I don't know why, we didn't understand it. But they had put a will together and everything and went over it with us. And that was great, because we understood. I never knew my dad wanted to be cremated until that evening. That didn't know. And he said, no, I don't want to take prime land for the living, those are his thoughts. But the point is, when it comes to managing and making sure both of you know what's going on. Why is it important? So when the son, if he dies and now the son's coming, well, Mom, I know you never did this before, let me help you. And really he wants to take over. I'm working in a situation right now where the son took $360,000 from the month. I mean, and she doesn't want 3 other children. She doesn't want to press charges. Well, he's going to be arrested. Yeah. One a bank that allowed him access, bank is going to be liable. So, but you can't let those things go. You've worked too hard for that kind of stuff. A lot, especially if families have cognitive or some type of impairments, again, they prey on that and they try to do things, I am not a fan of the gardener being your power of attorney or your pool guy or your grass cutter. I've seen it. You have to be careful. one of the things I gave you, one of the green book I gave you, talks about that. Power of attorney, why is it important? It needs to be someone trusted. You know, you got a financial, then you got a medical. It's something someone you want to trust. If all my kids are, one lives in Massachusetts, one lives in Texas, Bennett don't have anybody here. Well, we got to figure that out. But don't, because the gardener, you see them more often and now you trust, don't, but I've seen them do it. Or even a caregiver, you just got to be really careful of that. Real careful. I had a nurse visit somebody I was trying to help, who was a client, and I did, you know, another nurse had recommended her when I did a background check on her with the state police. She goes in, moves into with these people, and then she moves all their assets over, moves them to her home to take care of them. But it's a big scheme, it's a scam. And she'd done like 8 or 9 of those. When we called the registered nurse, said, did you know this? No, I had no idea. This was going on. I thought they had asked her. So you got to be very, very careful. Just some examples of financial exploitations. Power of attorney, that's a big one. Where someone gets your power of attorney and we give them too much. What do I mean? Well, you give them financial, you give them your medical, you give them, and normally when I even recommended this to my mom, let me do your financial stuff and let my other brother do your, you know, you don't have the same person. You know, you have them, you want to keep those things separate in most cases. And again, once you sit down with an attorney, they'll tell you this, but it's very, very important. Power of attorney is something you really need to really look at and understand, make sure, first of all, is it necessary? If it is, you know, limit it. Don't just give everything. Because if you give everything, they can sell a house, they can sell a rental home, they can cash in the CD, just, you know, and again, that's part of this exploitation we're talking about. Theft of money and property by family members, caregivers, in-home helpers. This is what I see the most of. And most times it's family members. And so the next thing I'll tell you is the feds track all of this when people report. So when you see the number and somebody gives you the number, you say, where did you get that number? Well, I got it from the feds reporting that they did it. The problem with that is people don't report family stuff. So that it's only 25% of what's going on. So when you see $60 million, you know, gone, that's only a piece of one part of the picture. Very, very important. Frauds and scams, and we'll hit on some of those. Lotteries and sweepstakes stamps. You know, if it's too good to be true, you know, it probably is. That's really important to understand that. Grandparents, imposters, and those are, that's what I see a lot of. You know, the people, you got people that read the obituaries. And that's why I tell somebody, you know, do you really want, I'm not against obituaries, but all they do is take the paper and they go read it. And then they go research people. Do you know how much stuff we can go on the internet and find on somebody? I think it's hard. That I could pick up, get the address. I mean, from my house at 2 o'clock in the morning, I can get Google Maps. I can look at, you know, front and back of your house, all around your house, everything. What do they have? What's on the carport? No, I'm being serious with you. Vehicles and boats and people do this. They do this. They take the obituary and they go in and they do these types of things. So it's so important. And it's sad because you can pick up a number, you can pick up their age, and all you gotta do is key in their name, which is just unbelievable. But people can find out about you. And it's, you know, I had a gentleman tell me, you know, whatever you do, I do not want to have an obituary. So you tell your wife and your kids that. But he told me that the whole time I knew him. I don't want an obituary. And I really thought a lot of it. Said, you know, I've written down, I know what I've done. You know, I know, you know, but I said, yeah, but people, they want to tell people in case they want to come and memorialize you and talk all good about you and stuff. Because I get it, but that's not what I think it's going to happen, you know. So, again, telemarketing is terrible. I gave up my house phone, y'all, 15 years ago. And if your name doesn't come across when you call my cell phone, I'm not answering. When I get an email, it's gone. I don't even open it up. You know, you've won. If it's too good to be true, it is. I promise you. You know, I got one. I had a member that lived in South Africa, and she was worth $5 million, and she died. Send us 1,500, and we'll send you the $5 million. I'm telling you, I'll give you the gist of it. It's detailed a little bit more, but I printed it and I handed it out to people. This is just stuff that is just crazy that people do. Telephone, computer, identity theft, where they take your identity. They actually take your information. Reverse mortgage. I've been in the finance business for a long time. I do the reverse mortgage as a last resort, but I read the fine print. I read it. And that ain't mean I have to take it home, because at home, I got a lamp with a light and magnifying glass. And I can see the small stuff. Sometimes these aren't enough. You know what I'm saying? It prints that small. But my point to you is, if you're going to do, remember, reverse mortgage, you're 62 years old, you have to be 62 or over. They're going to give you 80% of the value in cash, but you have to maintain all the insurance, all the upkeep, all the taxes, and then there's fees that go along with that. So every year, and you don't have to pay those fees. It can keep accumulating. That accumulation gets to be big fast. So just be careful, because that's an asset you have. If you're going to do a reverse mortgage, make sure you sit with a reputable company. Because there are individuals that'll say, well, let me come by there, and I'll tell it to you, go through, have a reputable individual do that. And normally you can go, if you have a trusting bank or somebody that does your retirement stuff, you can ask them. Somebody that's in the business. But I look at it as a last resort. Even though Maggie P.I. is in the commercials, look at it as a last resort. Because you can still have the asset, you can still get equity line of credit on it and not go through the reverse mortgage. And you only pay what you use. So if you have a house that's worth $250,000 and you only owe 50 on it, so you have 200,000 equity, and you decide to get an equity line of 100,000, until you write that check and use that money, you don't pay for it. And then you only pay for what you're using. Okay? So if you use it, so the reverse mortgage is going to give it all out to you. It starts calculating, So very, very careful. Contractor fraud. I know y'all have seen with all the storms and all the hurricanes. You got to be careful. There's so many people who are scammed on that type of stuff, and it's really scary. You want to make sure they're licensed and bonded, and you can check the attorney general's office and get that information from them. They should be willing to share that information with you. If somebody comes and cuts your tree in your door, you need to be asking for that. Right? Because guess what? Tree falls on them, they're suing your insurance company. So whatever work you do around your house, you need to make sure that person is licensed. Be real careful about that. Because that's a lot of fraud. They go there, they get hurt, and now they're suing. Because they know, again, older people have high limits on their mortgage insurance, or they have a balloon policy. With these balloon policies, it goes up to $2 or $3 billion. So just be careful with that. These are the people that are scamming. These are the people that take it, as we talked about. Power of attorney, financial advisors. If you don't have a financial advisor and you want one, you can go to a website and look to see, put their name in, and it'll tell you if there have been any issues on that. It will tell you that. And again, that organization, FDIC, you can go to any of those websites and they have that information. Our attorney general here in the state of Louisiana, if you go to their homepage and you look at, there's something under seniors, there's a whole group that'll assist on different fraud type stuff. Because I've recently reported some stuff on fraud to them. And they've been helpful. It was my mother. I did not know until she passed, and she was a QVC girl. I did not know that, y'all. And I did not know it until I went in her garage and she had 3 spin mops still in the boxes. But I should have known because she used to talk about them personally when I'd go see her. She knew them by name, the people, you know. So I got a call one day from one of their collectors saying, you know, sorry to hear your mom had passed. And then he started telling me that she had a $1,400 bill and that I needed to take care of it. I said, well, I mean, you know, you're committing fraud right now because she or her estate is responsible for it, not me. You know, and even if you have a spouse and you're not on that credit card, I mean, they can come back and look at his estate to pay for it, but you can't shake you down for it unless you're on the card. And in this case, I was not on my mom's QVC. Didn't know QVC had a card, to be honest with you, because I don't do QVC. You know? But she did, and the first thing I did was report him to Attorney General because he's shaking people down and lying to them. That's a scam, and we've got to protect everybody else. Strangers, telephone and mail scammers, internet scammers, home repair contractors, Medicare scam operators. Be real careful every year when you're, you know, if they've got, what's his name, JJ Walker Dynamite. I see him in a commercial Medicare right now. And what he's promoting is, you know, these Medigap policies where you can, I would probably look at them because I don't like to be surprised. What I mean by that is you have Medicare and all of a sudden something major and you got these events that happen and you got to come out with out of pocket. What those Medigap policies do is it assists you in that. You know, they cover some of those things. And they'll pay for exercise clubs, silver sneakers, whatever they call them. But the point is, people look at it every year, but there's a lot of scamming around that as well. So you want to make sure. So if you're looking at it, I look at who has it. Blue Cross, Humana, United Health. Pick up that phone, make sure. I mean, you can go online, put in your prescriptions, put in everything to make sure they're going to cover all that. And then look at it. Now, you do have brokers out there too that also will help you. But that is a big scam that happens annually because people are looking at these new offers. And well, hell, if they'll pay part of my, right now, the biggest thing that they're doing is Part B right now for Medicare is like 170, 13, I think, something like that. And every year it changes. Well, some of these guys are giving you back some of that money if you buy that Medicare policy. So you have to look at it and see, well, if I pay for it, how much I give it back, you know, it makes sense. But again, be careful because you don't know who these people offer. So you really want to make sure you know who you're talking to on that type of stuff. Why don't people, the topic says, why don't people report scammers? And the main reason, shame and embarrassment. They don't want to get the granddaughter in trouble is a big one, grandkids. And like a lot of family members, fear of retaliation. You know, and some of them get threatened. Some of the people. Dependency on the abuser, they have to have them help because, you know, they maybe they had a stroke and they're incapacitated in some way. Self-blame, lack of awareness. But, you know, just again, be careful. I went to a DARE program for my twin 12-year-olds, my grandkids, yesterday. Jason R., sheriff over in Livingston Parish, got up and spoke. Real nice guy. And he was telling the families in my 40-some years of policing, 3 things I'm going to leave you with. Never be so mad at your kids, you don't communicate. Communication is critical. You got to know what's going on in their life. Number 2, know who they're around. My kid used to be mad at me because they'd come to me and say, hey, Dad, can I go spend the night at somebody's house? If I didn't know everybody that lived in that house and those parents, they didn't go. They didn't go. and then church. He said, they gotta stay involved in church, because those people are connecting with them, and it's kind of like, it takes a village where everybody's watching over people's kids. So he said, those are the three things I'll leave you with. And he's right on the, communicate. You're not gonna know what's going on if you're not communicating with them. You're not gonna prove it, because I didn't prove it a lot of mine, especially my daughters, that are much harder on that. But he said, those things have to happen, you have to communicate. So, but again, the biggest one is family, and they're embarrassed, or they don't want to hurt the family by turning them over to the police. These are just some agencies that can help, that I like to, naturally the local police. Like this case I'm working on with this lady, she doesn't want to call the police, she doesn't want to do anything. That's why the other three children are pretty irritated, right? Because it's not fair, right? One comes and takes, and so, and you've got to be, I always tell people, prepare yourself for things to happen, not only financially, but if something happened, what would you do? And we don't help each other at all if we let people get away with stuff, because they're going to go on and do it to somebody else. That's what I've said. So you want to make sure all of this is in your book, by the way. That book, that white and blue book, every bit of this is in there. That's why I want to make sure you walk away, because there's some things we're not going to be able, because of time to go over. Who can help? Well, and this just kind of shows you how it works. For concerns about credit products, contact the creditor. Concerns about financial, contact the financial institution. I would just tell you, coming from the banking world, get to know a banker. Even though because I got a call many times. I had a client that was in Spain, and he wanted to bring a case of wine. On a Sunday, he calls me. My debit card won't work. I said, Bill, you didn't tell me you're going to Spain. What do you mean? Your debit card's only open really in this half of the United States. If you went to California, we'd probably turn you away. Because what's happened is banks, to limit liability of your loss, they're only letting it be open in an area where you live. And it may be 2 or 3 states, but if you live in Louisiana, I bet if you went to Texas, you'd be okay. But if you went to California or Arizona, you might not be approved. So pick up the phone, let your banker know. I could have picked up the phone and I could have said, that's what I ended up doing. I had to find somebody in my operations on a Sunday. You got to open up his credit card because he's buying some wine. Keep it open to the 19th, right? But what I'm saying is people don't know that. And so when you don't, I just say, have a friend at the bank to pick up the phone and talk to, because they can be helpful to you. And most, we want to be, I spend my time teaching people how not to, don't overdraw your account with $5 and give me $55 overdraft. Don't do it. Let me show you how. Prevent from doing it. So, have somebody, if you need to pick up the phone and call them, you can. And I've just been fortunate because I keep, a source, because I don't know the whole world. And I got to refer people and ask them. And I don't have a problem asking. I ask people right now how to do something that has nothing to do with finance. I'm looking at buying a certain type of plans. I got a couple of folks that are experts. I'll pick up the phone and ask them. It's just a waste of money. And, can I make it grow? And they'll tell me real quick, what to do. So have those experts that you can depend on and call. So this is a question on power of attorney. The fiduciary, a person who is named to manage your money or property. So they act on your behalf. And really, I would really state to you, you don't do this until you really feel like you're having cognitive issues. You can't balance a checkbook, or you can't. You really want to make sure, as long as you can, you're managing yourself. I don't mind if you want to, bring in a daughter or whatever to talk through and whatever. I'm just saying, be very careful before you turn everything to somebody. Just really, really last resort. Manage your money and property carefully, right? And again, you know, I use my source of my different resources if I can't figure out something. And try to have and build that. If you don't have it today, build on that. Make sure you can, if you know an investment advisor, you know, especially right now because we're seeing stocks and different things take tolls on it. You know, is there something else to do? And I called mine about two months ago. And I said, I'm reading about these municipal bonds in Texas, AAA, that are paying 5 and 8%. These are school systems, because Texas is booming. He goes, well, that's an option. Well, why didn't you offer me that option before? We call it you. But if you're scared about stuff, pick up that phone and ask. I'm losing too much. Come on. How long am I going to do this? I can't do this for another couple of years. I got to be able, you know, all of us need, you know, we want to, we're 30 years from now still living. We want to be able to, you know, be able to spread that finances and be able to, like Social Security is to me, you know, I don't think Social Security is going to be, you know, I don't depend on it. Right? So, but again, keep good records. That's really important. You got to keep on all that stuff for taxes and stuff like that. But you know, you got a good doctor. Hopefully, you got a good accountant if you're managing properties and stuff. The banker, your investment banker. These are people that are free. That you know, you should be able to pick up the phone and talk to them or just ask quick questions. A lot of them have websites you can go to and ask questions. I'll talk to them that way. Power of attorney, legal document that allows someone else to handle your finances on your behalf. You know, again, be very careful when you select them. That's why I gave you that green book. You can go back and check their background, make sure they're legit. If they get anything wrong with anybody, it's going to be in there on their file. It'll give you the information on it. Power of attorney, risks of it, pressure to grant more authority, you know. And again, the kids are doing that a lot to grandmoms and moms and dads. You know, Dad, you're really not thinking straight. A lot of people, because I got 5 kids, and every now and then they make a comment. But I promise you, they're not ready. You know? So you know, we laugh about it, but I think some of it's serious on their side. You know what I'm saying? So. You don't want somebody else misusing funds and stuff. You know, I've had a family where they went out and bought a real expensive car, just crazy. Unauthorized actions. Again, if you're looking at power of attorney, what is it that you need power of attorney for? What do you have problems with? What do you need to have that power of attorney for? Medical, financial, and you want to limit it to whatever you need it for. That's all they can do. I'm not saying, you know, if it's this major, you got to have, that's fine. That's fine. But just think about why you need that power of attorney. A durable power of attorney remains in effect even if the grantor loses the capacity to make financial decisions. So an attorney can help, again, like I said, and I know these guys have resources, and I will have my name at the end. I have a lot of resources for attorneys, especially those that specialize in elder law. I do a lot of work with. So you got to be thinking about that. You never know. These are just some of the things you might see with somebody mismanaging a power of attorney. Avoid appointing anyone who mismanages money and has personal issues. The worst thing you can do is bring somebody in that's having money problems. You know, they spend too much. They got to have the finest, the latest TVs. You know, I used to have a client who would come in, he wanted the latest TV and the latest computer. And y'all, I promise you can't keep up with it. We buy one right now, 2 minutes from now, there's the greatest and latest. And he came to me and told me, you know, he was going to go get him, go to Best Buy to get him something. So do me a favor. His wife was standing with him. Instead of charging that, save for him. No big deal, just save for him. Save for him. Because you got 4 TVs today. And all of them were great. Save for him. Wife said, I'm going to make sure he does it. Well, you know, a couple months later, I said, did you get that latest 4K, whatever it was? She said, no. After he saved for it, he said, you know what? It took me a little bit to do this. I'm gonna go pay off some debt or something. So if you save for something, you think, do I really have to have it? Do I really have to have it? So I always tell people, don't go out, because you know, we all have that impulse. You want the new car smell, you want the latest, so you go out and you get it. And then it's over, but you still gotta pay for it. Right? And you know, average interest rate on a credit card right now is 24.5%. Wow, 24.5. That's the average. Do you want that? No, you don't want it. I'm working with a couple right now who are paying $1,700 a month and interest on all their credit cards. Oh my God. And they didn't believe me. They said, there's no way. Well, you gave me the statements here. Let's go through. Can you imagine? What could you do with $1,700 a month? You'd be out of debt in about 13 months in this particular company. So you got to look at all those things. You got to look at them. So avoid appointing, hiring caregivers or helpers. You know, I've already told you all that. Don't let the gardener be your, you know, just be very careful. I know I beat this to death. Is also important tool in planning your financial capacity. Well, the durable power of attorney is, but one of the classes I teach is budgeting, and I've been teaching budgeting for about 40 years. I realized very early when I started doing this, teaching these classes, which is probably about 40, about 2 years into my career, I could see the need. And credit was the thing I specialized in. I spent a lot of time on credit. I've been out to FICO and their campus, spent weeks putting the different presentations together. But what I noticed is the credit was because they didn't have a budget. So y'all, everyone needs to be doing a budget. I don't care how wealthy you are or whatever, you really need to be doing a budget because you never know when you've got $6 gallon gas prices. And all of a sudden you were paying $28 to fill up and now you're paying $80. Where's it coming from? We only have so many nickels, right? So you got to figure out where it comes from. What do you do? Budget helps you do that. So a lot of people that I work with today, there's 3 areas we look at. One is ancillary, you know, going out and eat movies. Cable and phone, internet, all of them paying way too high for that stuff. Way too high. So we're looking at all those things, and you're not going to be able to go out, you know. In other words, it's simple math, y'all. Add money to it, take debt off of it. That's how you reduce it. But you'd be surprised how many people, when they do a budget, you realize every month they're in the red. And then they're in the red, so they're not paying something. And now their score is 580. You won't be able to do nothing. 700 is what you have to have to be able to get most. 640 on a mortgage is minimal, but you're going to have a higher mortgage rate. They really want 700 too. So again, even at our age, we need to be looking at the budget piece to keep, you know, we have to know what we got. We got to know that. Because some people get scammed and they don't even know. They don't have a clue. This lady said, I haven't used a Sears card in 25 years. It was an employee of Sears. They pulled a report on dormant accounts. They started using it. They saw she hadn't used it. I've seen it happen in banks too. They pull CDs or savings. Who hadn't touched their CDs or savings in 24 months? Boom. They start transferring. So all of these things you need to know, because what you need to be doing every month is looking at those accounts and make sure nobody's touching them. You don't have to look at them and say, you know, I got too much debt, or you know, I'm just telling you, make sure the activity you've done is yours. That's all, or not done. Because if somebody finds it, they can use it. This is help your fiduciary to help you. The FPB, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau was, which is the CFPB, that was designed in 2010. Dodd-Frank's, part of the Dodd-Frank's bill that was done. And so this is the organization that puts all this, and I've got a 10 by 15 warehouse that I keep that has all of, they produce a ton of information on all different type of topics. But in plain language, they have these guidelines, you know, and so that you can look at it. That's the document you've got in green. They produce that. And there's their site right there, their website that you can see. But all of this information that we talk to, they put those things together, and I get it all free. You know, these are just very, very valuable information. If you're this slide is if you're a victim, what do you do? The Adult Protective Services probably wouldn't be the first place I go. First place I go is to the bank. What is it that you're a victim of? Well, all of a sudden, I see somebody took over my checking account. So you're going to get to the bank. Or credit card, you're going to get to the bank. Now, there's some agencies, Capital One, before it got in the banking business, was only in the credit card business. That's where they got their start. But what you want them to do is shut that one down, review with you to make sure everything that's lately is you, and move that balance over. Police report's critical. You get your local police. Why is it critical? Because you're going to report it to the bureaus, credit bureaus, the three, and they're going to put it on your credit report. Victim identity theft victim. So that person comes to the bank that I might have been working at, and I pull the report and I see it. I'm asking for some more identification. If I don't get it, I'm contacting the police after the rest without him knowing. You know, so I mean that's the critical pieces. You want to limit your loss, so you're going to notify them first. So you know this is the they keep tally of all this, right? And that's fine. I have no problem talking to them. But the first thing I want to do when I know something's not right is I want to go to the source so that I can cut the blood loss. I can make sure I limit my losses. And that's so wonderful about computer and technology. Because I teach a class on just teaching them how to use technology for their bank. You know, when I get a charge on a credit card, it comes to my phone. I'll tell you a funny story. About a year ago, my youngest daughter wanted to borrow my card. It's only $79.06. But she's got her own business, right? So I said, come on, it's close to Christmas, you know, really? So she goes and, well, it comes to my phone. It's $129. So I text her, what are you doing? She picks up the phone, she says, what so you said it was gonna be $70-some. How do you know that? You know, I said, don't worry about it. I know it. You know, that wasn't the agreement. But my point to you is use technology too, because then you know when stuff happens to you at the convenience of your home. You have a Home Depot card, but you don't use it but every now and then. Got to do some things, whatever. All of a sudden you see a purchase come across. You can react to it. What I mean by that, you can let Home Depot know it's not yours and that you're not going to, you know, please take that. You can react faster. Now, by law, you have 60 days from the day you receive a statement, right? But with phone and technology, you get it right away. My older son and I went out to eat at a restaurant in Watson. He used his debit card. You know, there's a bunch of skimmers being used for scams that y'all hear about all the time, right? One of the biggest frauds going on right now is you go to a restaurant and somebody's grabbed the bartender and they've said, look, I'm going to give you this little skimmer of mine. Every card you skim, before you skim, hey, I'll give you $100. Come back and get it from me. All right. So she does 12, simple math, so okay, right? And it takes that information. Or they put them on gas pumps. We went and ate this nice restaurant, and 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning, he started having all kinds of purchases. coming on his debit card. And he's smart, he's got it all going to him. Wait a second. This is all over the place. Well, the next morning, he calls the bank and they said, well, we think we know where it happened. He names the restaurant to him. He said, it was our server. And police arrested him and he was. That's what he was doing. This was just not even a month ago. Again, I know you can't walk with them when they go to take your card and bring it up, but you want to be careful. I only order, when I do anything on the internet, I only use credit. What I mean by that is PayPal or credit card. Why? Because debit purchases and credit purchases go in different directions when you say, hey, that's not mine. Debit, you're stuck until they feel like giving you your money. I don't use my debit card because that's my operating capital, right? And somebody decides to get 3,000 and I may only have 1,000 in the account, guess what? And I may be negative balance for 60 days. Credit card, you call them up, that's not my purchase. They remove that from and they put it over here while they investigate. You're not paying interest on it. It's not being part of your bill, and then they're going to investigate. And when they realize you're correct, they're taking it off. Use the credit card always. Much better. When you go buy gas, the pump's closer to the Gulp or to the Frosty or to the M&Ms. They don't put them on those because the cameras are real close. They put them on far pumps. The pumps are way out. When you make a purchase at Walmart and you use it a debit card, use it as a credit card. I'm not putting my pin in that. Walmart's easy because you actually have everybody else, you got to say which pin if I'm running credit. I don't want to give them my 4-digit pin number. So I run everything as a even if it's a debit. I know it's coming out of a check. So at Walmart, you push a button and it gives you that offer. A lot of the other places have that. But those are just things that you can do that keeps people from accessing your stuff, right? It just keeps you from, we've talked about that they go after their grandparents and stuff. Secure private financial documents. These are just things you can do. Don't throw statements. I don't even have statements come to me anymore. I get them electronically. I build folders and I can teach you over the phone how to do it. But what I do is I take folders and my monthly statement that comes to me, I drop it in my 2022, Chase Bank checking, right? I just drop it. And when I need it, I can go grab it. Yes, ma'am.
It's 12.
All right. So let's go through some of this real quick. We've talked about that. Let me just see some investment. Yeah, investments, just be careful. Make sure you have the right. Let's see, guys. There's a lot. I just want to make sure. All of these things have timing that's critical. Anything, whether the sooner you find out, the least it's going to cost you. So just remember that. Understanding these are just different types of stocks and bonds and stuff that people can go to. Again, insurance, financial, FDIC insurance is $250,000 an account, and you can set those up where you can cover more than that by the way you title. And if you want more information, I can give you that. Again, scammers calling people, y'all. That's a big deal. I'm saying that the IRS doesn't do this. These are real trouble folks. Lottery telling that you've won something. Let me see, I'm trying to get to the debt collectors. That's a big one. Where people call and say, your daughter is going to be arrested tomorrow and she's got this gambling debt. It happens every day. Charities, be real careful who you give money to. Make sure you know the charity. Computer, again, if you don't recognize it, don't open it. Just you know how to delete it. It's real important to make sure that you. So some of these be protected your social security, birthday, credit cards, pins and passwords. Don't make your passwords real easy. Don't have your social security, grandchildren's name. Don't make it where people can get to it. These are different agencies, social security, if you're dealing with social security issues. Let's see, medical stuff, make sure, none of my prescriptions are in any common area of the house. It's all back in my room where, make sure you don't have stuff scattered all through your house. I hate to say it because when people come, they go look through your cabinets and stuff. Preparing for future problems, direct deposit. When you can use direct deposit, I recommend it. Use direct deposits because you're going to get it into your account. It's not coming as a check where people can steal it out of your, let's see, additional resources. Reverse mortgage, we talked a little bit about that. Contractors, we talked about that, how to hire one. All right. Hopefully you understand there's a lot of exploitation on elderly and folks that might have dementia. Also, those types of things that people, they prey on those types of people. So know some of the things. That book I gave you is full of the information. Anybody have any kind of question? Yes, ma'am.
I don't have, how, do we need to check that too periodically, the title theft thing that seems to be,
Yeah, I know they were really promoting it, but if I bought every insurance, because there's so much of them, McAfee, and then now they own all these other ones. It is pretty hard. I know the guy that they used to do the commercial, but they've got to go to close.
that's what
it.
I'm saying, you gotta go to the clerk of court office.
And see, I just can't afford all of those policies. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of that is just promoting. You have your mortgage. The tax assessor has you. You're paying the taxes on it. It's really, I just don't know how somebody just takes it from.
That's what I'm saying, how do you do that? You have to go to the clerk of courts, all
Right.
of that stuff.
Well, you got to do a title search.
Right.
You got to see
right.
all the people that own it, right? Before you can do a close. How do you do a close, So, yeah, I would be aware, make sure you pick up the phone and if you've got a mortgage on it, if you own it, though, all you're going to be doing is checking with tax assessor, and you can do that online. Go look up your tax bill for this year, and you'll see whose name is it, you know what I'm saying? So, because I don't think they're paying people's taxes, I think they're just,
Right.
But be very careful because we do have a lot of those advertisements, all those different things. And I'm telling you, I wouldn't be able to live if I paid all these different insurance companies, especially when mortgage insurance are going up so much, because of different storms and stuff. Anybody from Zoom with a question? I know we went over a lot of stuff. Next time, I normally do this class, a 2-hour class and then an hour. And I took 60 pages on the presentation. So, but it is extensive. The book is really a great book.
So we did have a few people through Zoom that asked about those books, if we can hold them for us, them here in our office or mail them to them. So
Absolutely.
you'll leave a couple for us.
Absolutely. You tell me how many you have, and if I don't have enough, but I got 20 some. I got a warehouse. But these are great books because we won't see each other, but something will happen to you. And you can go there and see what to do. Again, a great resource, our Attorney General's office. There's a tab for seniors. When you go online, just Louisiana Attorney General, and you see the homepage, and you see there's a whole area on seniors. Use it.
And you know what I had happen to me? I bought my car, but you get that, they gave me Sirius Radio for free. So then you renew it once. You're thinking you're gonna get, okay, they'll keep, you know what? They automatically do that, charging you, and then they attach Spotify to it.
Okay.
And if you're not careful with that,
Wow.
you better be looking at your bank statement because it's all drafted. And let me tell you, Spotify is a company from New York or from Germany that has offices in New York, and there's no way you can call
Okay.
No way you can call them. Everything is online. They asking you, well, give me your account number. Why would I give you the account number? You're already taking money out of my account. You
Right.
need to give it to me. So you have to go through that, and it's just not here. There was a list of people all over the country that Spotify was charging. Just
You got
that
to, to
one
your point,
Sirius radio.
right, you gotta look at your statement,
You
y'all.
gotta look at
review.
those statements.
Make
'cause
sure.
they're $10 year to day, they'll $10 year to day, the next day, next month. And you know, $10, you don't miss that right off.
Yeah, well, see, a lot of people don't realize when you have a mortgage, you're paying private mortgage insurance if you don't own 20%.
Right.
You're paying private mortgage insurance. Well, guess what? Right now, with the bump up of houses, I've received a lot of phone calls. They're not gonna call you up and say, because your house went up $60,000, you no longer have to pay private mortgage. You gotta tell them.
Right.
So make sure you do that, because private mortgage insurance benefits the bank. It doesn't benefit you at all. What it is, it's a mortgage insurance policy for your house. If you default, they get paid. And you're paying a premium. So make sure right now that assets, the cost of home building has gone up, so your house overnight has equity. And more than likely, you have the 20% you need to drop private mortgage. So, but you have to be the one who calls them. They don't call
They're
you
not gonna
and
call
say,
you.
guess what? Now you have 50% ownership of your home. You don't have to pay it. You gotta call them and say, look, I've got enough equity. Look at my PMI and drop it off for them. Take it off. So just make sure.
Oh, a whole lot to think about.
And the only other thing I want to give everybody is a phone number.
Perfect.
Okay? If you have, and during the day I teach most of the time, but I'll get back to you. You can leave me a message, because I check them throughout the day. And if there's anything, maybe you saw something, because I know we went through it quick. And a lot of times I'll call folks when I get home up till about 8 o'clock, because I don't want to, but I'll return my calls in the evenings most of the time or the next day. But if there's anything I can help you with, if you need to understand how to do a folder to set up your accounts, because I do my credit cards the same way. I don't have any statements come to my mailbox. Because if they grab your mail, I had a couple that had an equity line of credit in their home, and they took their statement and they took money off the equity line, because they were able to see the number and the amount.
So is it any way we could see where you were conducting your classes?
Yeah, most of them, most of churches, a lot of what I do is in churches. I'm still doing, I do some stuff with council on aging. I do some, the library's asking me to come back. I just don't know if I'll have that much time, because I am trying to do some things in schools too now. So I'm teaching kids and stuff. I'm staying busier now than I was when I was. It's a lot of fun. So, but I'm also looking, I might be moving too, so do that.
Well, we appreciate you taking the time to
Thank you, guys.
speak with us and being so willing to help out even after this presentation. So,
Absolutely.
round of applause. So appreciate it.
Thank you.
Well, if y'all have any questions for me, probably, did you have a question about
Yeah, the 3 classes, I'm not gonna be able to physically do the next class. I can
Virtual
do it
fun.
through Zoom,
yes,
right?
and you,
part of
that's
it.
how you signed up with the third one was virtual. Same
Yeah.